The Houston Rockets arrived at TD Garden on Saturday night with something to prove, and they did exactly that with a commanding performance that left the defending Eastern Conference powerhouse Celtics reeling in a 128-101 defeat. This wasn't just a win for Houston, it was a statement game that showcased the caliber of basketball this young Rockets team can produce when everything clicks together. Boston entered the contest riding momentum from 3 consecutive victories, including a hard-fought triumph over Philadelphia just the night before, where Jaylen Brown had poured in 32 points. But playing on consecutive nights proved to be a challenge the Celtics couldn't overcome, and the well-rested Rockets took full advantage from the opening tip. The visitors came into this matchup having turned their season around after an 0-2 start, riding high on 2 straight victories and playing with the kind of confidence that comes from finding your rhythm. The game began with Houston immediately establishing their dominance on both ends of the floor. Kevin Durant, who had joined the Rockets in a blockbuster trade during the offseason, looked every bit the superstar that has defined his career. His presence alone changed the geometry of the court, forcing Boston's defense to make constant adjustments that never quite materialized into effective resistance. Durant's shooting touch was impeccable from the start, connecting on shots from all areas of the court with the kind of efficiency that has become his trademark. He finished the first quarter with 12 points already on the board, serving notice that this would be his night regardless of what Boston threw at him. What made Houston's performance particularly impressive was the balance they displayed throughout their roster. While Durant garnered most of the attention, the supporting cast played with precision and purpose. The Rockets shot an astonishing 57% from the field in the first half alone, a number that speaks to both excellent shot selection and clinical execution. Every possession seemed to flow naturally, with ball movement creating open looks and players making smart decisions with the basketball. By halftime, Houston had built a commanding 66-48 advantage, putting Boston in a hole that would only deepen as the game progressed. Thompson continued his impressive early season development with another solid performance that showcased why the Rockets believe he's a cornerstone piece of their future. The young guard forward contributed 17 points and pulled down 9 rebounds, filling the stat sheet while playing his typical energetic brand of basketball. Thompson has been averaging 14.5 points, 5.3 rebounds, and 5.3 assists through the early part of the season, numbers that reflect his growing comfort in his expanded role. His versatility on both ends of the floor has become increasingly evident, as he's capable of defending multiple positions while also serving as a playmaker and finisher on offense. Against Boston, Thompson attacked the basket with purpose, grabbed rebounds in traffic, and made winning plays that don't always show up in the box score but absolutely matter in the context of the game. What makes Thompson particularly valuable is his athleticism combined with his improving basketball IQ. He's learning to pick his spots better, understanding when to be aggressive and when to facilitate for teammates. His recent shooting improvements, particularly from three-point range where he shot 34.8% post-All-Star break last season compared to just 25.4% before the break, have made him a more complete offensive threat. While he didn't need to rely heavily on his outside shot in this particular game, the threat of it forces defenders to respect his range, opening up driving lanes that he's more than capable of exploiting. Alperen Sengun put together another well-rounded performance that demonstrated why many consider him one of the most underrated players in the league. The Turkish center finished with 16 points, 10 rebounds, and 9 assists, narrowly missing what would have been a triple-double. Sengun's game is built on finesse and basketball intelligence rather than overwhelming athleticism. He processes the game at a high level, finding passing angles that most big men wouldn't even consider, and making reads that keep defenses constantly off balance. Against Boston, his playmaking was particularly crucial in breaking down the Celtics' defensive schemes. At just 23 years old, Sengun has already established himself as Houston's best player and a legitimate top 20 talent in the NBA, though national recognition has been slower to arrive than his performance deserves. Last season, he averaged 19.1 points, 10.3 rebounds, and 4.9 assists while earning his first All-Star selection. His passing ability from the post is reminiscent of Nikola Jokic, a comparison that's become more valid with each passing season. When he catches the ball in the mid-post or at the elbow, defenses have to respect both his scoring ability and his vision, creating advantages that Houston's perimeter players can exploit. In this game, Sengun's impact extended beyond the numbers. His presence in the paint forced Boston to collapse their defense, which opened up opportunities for Houston's shooters on the perimeter. His 10 rebounds helped the Rockets dominate the glass as Houston out-rebounded Boston 53-36 overall. That rebounding advantage translated directly into second-chance opportunities and prevented Boston from establishing any consistent transition game. Sengun's near triple-double was also a testament to his conditioning and stamina, as he remained effective throughout the game without showing signs of fatigue. Durant's performance was the centerpiece of Houston's victory, and he made it look effortless. He finished with 26 points on exceptional shooting, connecting on 8 of 11 field goal attempts and going 8 for 9 from the free throw line. By halftime, he already had 20 points in his ledger, and his efficiency was so dominant that coach Ime Udoka felt comfortable resting him for the entire fourth quarter. This wasn't just about scoring for Durant, it was about imposing his will on the game in a way that demoralized the opposition. Every time Boston threatened to make any sort of run, Durant had an answer, whether it was a silky mid-range jumper or a drive to the basket that ended with free throws. The third quarter provided perhaps the most telling sequence of the entire contest. Boston's frustrations, which had been building throughout the game, finally boiled over early in the period. Coach Joe Mazzulla received a technical foul with 9:07 remaining, the first crack in the Celtics' composure. What followed was a comedy of errors from Boston's perspective as they were called for a 3-second violation, and then Chris Boucher was tagged with a flopping technical as Thompson put back a rebound. Durant stepped to the line and calmly converted 3 consecutive free throws, extending Houston's lead to 74-50 with 8 minutes and 41 seconds left in the third quarter. That sequence effectively ended any realistic hope of a Boston comeback. By the time the third quarter concluded with Houston leading 97-72, TD Garden had begun to empty as fans headed for the exits. The home crowd had seen enough, recognizing that this game was beyond salvage. The final quarter became a formality, with both teams clearing their benches and allowing reserves to finish out the remaining minutes. For Houston, it was a chance to get valuable experience for their depth pieces. For Boston, it was simply about getting through a game where nothing had gone right. The Celtics' struggles weren't entirely unexpected given the circumstances. Playing on the second night of a back-to-back after an emotional victory over Philadelphia left them physically and mentally drained. Baylor Shireman led Boston with 17 points, while Peyton Pritchard added 14 and Jaylen Brown chipped in 12 before sitting out the fourth quarter. Brown, who had carried the team just 24 hours earlier, visibly lacked the energy to replicate that performance. The Celtics' rotation players couldn't pick up the slack, and Boston's usual defensive intensity was nowhere to be found as Houston repeatedly got to their preferred spots on the floor. Beyond the individual performances, this game highlighted the contrasting states of the two franchises at this moment in time. Boston, despite the loss, remains a team with championship aspirations built around a core that has proven capable of competing at the highest level. However, their 3-4 record to start the season suggested they were still finding their rhythm and dealing with the challenges of maintaining excellence over the course of a long season. The back-to-back scheduling exposed their lack of depth in certain areas and raised questions about how they would manage the grueling nature of an 82-game campaign. The victory improved Houston's record to 3-2 on the young season, and more importantly, it demonstrated that this team can dominate elite competition when they play to their capabilities. The Rockets' offensive rating had led the league entering this contest, and their performance at TD Garden only reinforced why those numbers were so impressive. They moved the ball with purpose, shot with confidence, and defended with the kind of intensity that winning teams display consistently. Houston's rebounding dominance deserves special mention, as their 53-36 advantage on the glass was a key factor in controlling the game's tempo and rhythm. Offensive rebounds led to second-chance points that demoralized Boston's defense, while defensive rebounds prevented the Celtics from generating the kind of transition opportunities they typically thrive on. This wasn't just about size, it was about effort and desire, with Houston players consistently pursuing the basketball with more urgency than their counterparts. The 128-101 final score told the story of a game that was never really competitive once Houston established their dominance in the first half. It was the kind of comprehensive victory that builds confidence and creates momentum, exactly what the Rockets needed as they continued their season. For the Celtics, it was a harsh reminder that no matter how talented a team might be, the NBA season is a marathon that demands consistent effort and focus. Missing either component, as Boston did on this night, results in the kind of defeat that stings but hopefully serves as a learning experience for games ahead.